Thanks for joining us for Inside Franklin Marshall Wrestling. I'm Brad Weltmer here for GoDiplomats.com, joined by Franklin Marshall head wrestling coach Mike Rogers, and we've got Antonio Pelusi back on here with us today. So guys, thanks a lot for sitting down here with us.
Yep.
So you wrapped up last week, a 2-0 week at home. Took down Millersville 25-13 on Thursday. Concluded things with Senior Day on Saturday with a 19-17 win against Sacred Heart. So let's look at Millersville first. Your team retained the Rupp Cup. You took down Millersville for the 6th straight year. You won 7 of 10 bouts. There was a ton of close matchups in there. Rick and Josh Young both earned bonus points. So just kind of recap that match a little bit for us.
Yeah, it's a good match for us. Like I said, it's one of the first things when we first got here. The two teams when we first got here, one of our first wins were Millersville and Sacred Heart, and so we want to keep that streak going as long as we possibly can. And with Millersville being a local team and it's right across the road there, it's nice to keep that rivalry going and keep that streak alive. So. But yeah, there was some tough matches. I mean, they wrestled us tough at some weight classes. I think overall we didn't perform, I don't think, as well as we should or could have for a number of factors. But sometimes you got to win the matches, even if they're not pretty. You still win them, and that was a good way to come back after when I wasn't sure how we were going to react after beating George Mason on the road and then coming back. Didn't know how we would respond after a good win there on the road and coming back. Sometimes you have a little bit of a letdown, but the guys stepped up and wrestled tough. So we were glad to retain the Rupp Cup and keep that streak going.
Yeah, then Saturday against Sacred Heart, that's kind of one of those matches that was really exciting for the fans and probably a little nerve-wracking for the coaches. It started out, it was really back and forth there at the beginning. You guys came out, took the 3 first matchups. Sacred Heart battled back, took the next 3, cut it to within 1, and then Josh Young came out at 174, really cut into that momentum, picked up a major decision. So just talk about how important his matchup and his performance was.
We knew that was going to be a battle. Sacred Heart's been doing a great job. They get a new AD. They're putting a lot of money and resources, new coaching staff. So they're not the same old Sacred Heart. So we knew they were going to come to battle, and we knew it was going to be close. It was going to come down to some key matches. I thought on paper we were favored at those weight classes we won, but I thought we could potentially get 49, and that didn't go our way. So we had to kind of make that one back, and Josh came back big with us, and it was good. He was down early and battled back through. And one thing about Josh is that he never quits. He wrestles the whole time and never gives up. So I think even though he gave up some points early in the match, his tenacity just kept him in the match. And then he's an athlete, so he definitely takes advantage of any opportunity guy gave him. And the kid kind of fell in a couple positions, and he jumped on him with a couple cradles and got some back points, and definitely got the momentum shifted going the other direction. And that was a huge win for us going into the dual meets, and not going up in the lineup, but also doing it with a major, getting some bonus points that kind of gave us back in the match. So.
Yeah, after his major, then Sacred Heart won the next 2. Pulled within 1 again, heading into 285. Then Antonio pulled out a huge win, picked up a takedown in sudden victory. So just kind of recap his match a little bit. Yeah,
it was good. It was good for him, and him and that Sacred Heart kid has been kind of going back and forth. I think they went in triple overtime at Binghamton, and then and the Sacred Heart kid won that one, and then they wrestled at the Keystone. And we won that one, so it was kind of the rubber match between the two. It was good to kind of feel that pressure, that anticipation. I mean, you always hate to say it comes down to heavyweight, and if he wins, we win, because what happened at the other weight classes led up to that situation. So it's necessary, but it was good. It kind of put him under some stress, put him under some, the match is, individually the match was important because it's a conference win. They've had 2 matches back and forth. Plus, if he wins, the team wins. He doesn't win, they win, and how to deal with that. And he did a great job of keeping his composure and dealing with all those variables going into that match and wrestling a tough match and pulling out in overtime. So it was a good experience for him, good win for the team, and it was a great way to kind of finish off our season with 3 wins in a row, back to back to back, and kind of setting us up for the postseason.
And Antonio, recap that match a little bit for us. Take us through that takedown there in Sudden Victory.
Yeah. Well, I remember just trying to, wrestle smart. I was pretty nervous going into the match. I had a feeling, when Mancini lost at 184, You know, and he's been wrestling so great lately. So, you know, that started to put the thought in my head, and I just tried to block it out. And then we went down, when Chuck lost, we went down 1 going into my match. So I just kind of tried to block it out and, you know, go out there and wrestle. I probably really felt like I could have been a little more aggressive, definitely, in the first period and second. You know, I just wasn't really getting to my stuff, but I was being conservative mainly because of my nerves, I want to say. But in overtime, you know, I just thought, you know, I'm going to end it here just because I don't want to do the whole ride-out thing with him that we already did, you know, at Binghamton. So I just went quick foot sweep, forced him into a bad shot, and scored. And, you know, it was amazing. It was definitely one of the highlights of my career this far in college. And, you know, it's a nice thought to look back on, especially because, you know, it's my last match with all the seniors, and, you know, this team's amazing. I love the guys, and, you know, I'm going to miss the seniors next year, so it was nice to kind of go out with a bang and a nice win for the whole team.
Yeah, and you know, you've been involved in a lot of close bouts here lately. The last 5, win or lose, have been decided by less than 5 points. It's against a lot of guys that you're likely to see at the IWA tournament. So if you go to face those guys again, is the approach going to change at all?
Definitely. You know, part of the reason I feel like I've been losing to my last 5 matches, for the majority of them, I was winning for the most part of the match. And, you know, I'm sitting on leads and, you know, doing stuff I shouldn't do, you know, down my conditioning, and it's come back to, you know, bite me in the butt sometimes there. But, you know, moving forward in the conferences, you know, I'm you know, it sucks that I lost to him early in the year, but the good thing is, you know, I've wrestled him. I know the feel they give, and I know, you know, exactly what I have to do and adjustments I have to make to beat him. So, I feel better prepared going into these matches, and especially against some of the closer matches at conferences that I've had in the past. I feel confident that I will, you know, be able to improve on the progress I've made, and yeah.
Between the end of the regular season and the IWA, you have about a 2-week gap there. Talk a little bit about the preparation and, you know, just kind of how you're getting ready for the tournament.
So this week, it's a pretty tough week for us, working real hard. Me personally, trying to solidify technique in the next 2 weeks. You know, I don't want to lose a match at conferences because I can't get out on bottom. So, you know, I'm grabbing Coach Rogers after practice and, you know, getting him to, you know, go top and bottom and ride me out and stuff. And, you know, solidifying my hand fighting, you know, for at the end of matches, you know, I can, you know, still be aggressive and wrestle smart, and, you know, not give up bad takedowns at the end of matches and lose the matches because I was getting sloppy with my hand fighting. So, you know, the next 2 weeks for me, I just want to, you know, work as hard as I possibly can, and just solidify all the technique that I have so far, and really make a push at conferences, and again, to make it to nationals.
So, Mike, you know, Antonio talked a little bit about the preparation for the IWAs from the athlete's perspective. What about you and the coaching staff? How are you getting them prepared?
You know, we kind of set this in motion. We kind of go through 3-week cycles and try, you know, peak and valleys throughout the season, and we're finishing up our 3rd week. And, you know, for example, we'll break up their training cycle from morning workout sprints to lifts to after regular practice times, but a little shorter, more intense, shorter goes wrestling wise, and give them a lot of recovery time in between the live matches, but mostly just focus on their, you know, the mental aspect. And like that match on Saturday night was, you know, you can't simulate that. You know, that environment, it's down, you know, the team's down by 1, you know, it goes into overtime, and he has to, you know, come up with a strategy on the spot to find a way to win, you know, and those are things that are going to carry a ton of benefits going into conference. So that's what we're trying to do. Like today, on Wednesday, we're doing match simulations. So we'll have the guys come in, you know, put a clock, you know, we'll ref the match, score points, to try to get that competition poise, that mental sharpness, that shape-wise, you can't really get them any better shape. They can't get out of shape. You know, we have what we have technique-wise. We're just trying to fine-tune and tweak a little things here and there that we can find a fix. You're not going to make any major big changes. And the big thing next week, the week leading up to conference, we're going to rest. You know, we'll keep some short workouts to keep their weight down, to kind of keep them, you know, keep their mind occupied, but nothing too intense, and try to get them, you know, some guys are a little bit nicked up and dinged up, which is common for this time of season. But guys like Pelusi and Rick and all those guys, it's just going out there with confidence. And that's where I think wrestling, the schedule we wrestled, we put our hands on probably at least 2/3 of the conference. So there's no one they're going to see that they haven't seen before or at least experienced. So whether we win that or not, I think we're going to be better prepared than we have in the past. Hopefully that experience that we put them throughout the season, wrestling tough teams like Lehigh, like Pittsburgh, like Rutgers, they're going to just be that much more tougher mentally, going up against Lehigh and, you know, Cornell and all these other teams that we have in our conference. And we tell these guys, you got to wrestle a guy, not the singlet. Sometimes I think in years past we've kind of gotten into the situation where we wrestle the singlet, not the guy. So we're excited about it. I think we're ready as we can be, and it's just them mentally being prepared. And we talk a lot about visualizations. You know, think about your match, see yourself hitting right technique, and doing all those things right.
Mike, Antonio, thanks a lot for joining us here today.
Thanks.
Be sure to join us here next week when we take a look at the IWA Championships.